Inverter delays. So we are going to consider inverter delays for NMOS and for CMOS inverter. Firstly, let's start with 4:1 ratio NMOS inverter. For this 4:1 ratio, your Z pull up by Z pull down ratio will be 4:1. Clear? If let's suppose your this R pull up will be equal to 4 times RS. So this, if RS is 10 kilo ohm, then that value comes out to be 40k. Now for a pair of cascaded inverters, delay over the pair will be constant, and that thing we are assuming as tau equal to 0.3 nanoseconds. Clear? This is an assumption. Let's move forward to the diagram. So this is the diagram of your NMOS inverter pair. So you are having one, you are having second. There are two inverters and they are connected in series. Overall delay is 5 tau. 1 tau plus 4 tau. Okay, tau plus 4 tau, that means 5 tau. 5 tau will be your overall delay for this NMOS inverter. And a single 4:1 inverter will exhibit undesirable asymmetric delays. Okay, delay in turning on will be tau. Delay in turning off will be 4 tau. So there will be asymmetry. And this is for if we are considering 4:1 ratio. If we consider 8:1, then this asymmetry will be even more. Yeah. And here this Cg, this is your gate capacitance. Cg is the gate capacitance. So the formula for delay will be 1 plus Z pull up by Z pull down multiplied by tau. Yeah. So total overall delay is 5 tau. Delay in turning on tau, delay in turning off 4 tau. Total is 5 tau. And this asymmetry is worse when considering an inverter with a delay with a ratio of 8:1. Now if we consider a CMOS inverter, then this NMOS ratio rule will not apply to CMOS. It has its own natural asymmetry. And let me show you the diagram and just observe that in this case now your gate capacitance will be twice that of your NMOS inverter. Yeah. We are having 2 times Cg. This is a minimum size CMOS inverter pair delay. Total delay in case of CMOS is 7 tau. 2 tau plus 5 tau. Clear? Again, this is first inverter, this is second inverter. So which inverter we are now talking? In this diagram, that is the CMOS inverter. So for CMOS inverter, we are having 2 inverters, they are connected in series. The overall delay will be 7 tau. In case of NMOS, it is 5 tau. And another thing, asymmetry of resistance values can be eliminated by increasing the width of P device channel by a factor of 2 or 3. Okay, we can increase the width by a factor of 2 or 3 and we can eliminate the asymmetry of resistances. But you have to keep in mind that the gate capacitance of the P transistor will also increase by the same factor. Yeah. The gate input capacitance will also increase if we increase the width. So we have to correspondingly decide whether we want to have a symmetry in resistance or we should remain it asymmetrical. Next is this is your CMOS inverter delay. In this we are having two things. One is the rise time estimation, another is the fall time estimation. So we have to consider these derivations. The CMOS inverter either charges or discharges a capacitive load. Clear? That is CL, capacitive load. So let's do it firstly for the rise time. So there is a few assumptions. Assume P device remains in saturation for the entire charging period of load capacitor. So this P device will be always in saturation when there is the charging period for this load capacitor CL. Let me show you the diagram. So this is the diagram. So this is your capacitor CL, load capacitance. Okay. Then we are having IDSP, current, and here we are having two logics, 0 and 1. We are charging and then discharging. 0, 1. Now the saturation current. The saturation current for the P transistor will be given by this equation. So this is the same equation which we have done previously when we did the relationship between IDS and VDS. So this is the saturation current for P transistor. So this is your equation number 1. And another equation is the V out. V out is IDSP into T divided by CL. Yeah, so this is the second equation. Now substituting the value of IDSP and rearranging these two equations, we have to find the value of T. Here, using equation 1 and 2. Equation 1, that is in the form of beta VGS VTP, and equation 2, that is formula for V out, output voltage, in terms of I, C and T. So we are getting T using these two equations. So try to do these calculations in your notebooks. Clear? Now we are going to do few assumptions. We will assume that T is equal to tau R. V out will be equal to plus VDD and VGS will be equal to VDD. So if we put these values in our equation, we will get the formula for tau R. Small t we are going to equate as tau, V out is VDD, VGS is also VDD, VTP is 0.2 VDD. Here it is, VTP. So that will be 0.2 VDD. So these are few assumptions which you have to put in the formula, and you are going to minimize this equation. So finally your tau R is for rise time. Rise time estimation we are doing. So tau R, the final formula will be approximately equal to 3CL divided by beta P and VDD. So just observe in this that this tau R will be inversely proportional to VDD directly proportional to CL. Here there are two things, directly proportional to CL and inversely proportional to VDD. Similarly, we are going to do the fall time estimation. Fall time estimation means we are going to discharge this CL, this is your capacitor, through the N transistor. So this is now your diagram. Firstly we were charging, now we are going to discharge. So discharge from 1 to 0. So when we are going to discharge, we are getting this tau f. F means fall time, tau f. So that will be, once you do the calculations, you are getting this value. It will be 3 CL divided by beta n into VDD. So in the same way we have to do the calculation. It is written making the same assumptions. Same assumptions means we have to make small t equal to tau, V out equal to VDD, VGS equal to VDD, and VT P will be equal to 0.2 VDD. So same assumptions will be there. So your fall time, this tau f, it will be also directly proportional to CL and inversely proportional to VDD. So almost similar formula you are getting. Only thing is the beta. In this case we are having beta n. In the rise time, if we consider the rise time, it was beta p. And this tau r will be equal to 2.5 times tau f. Clear? So this is what it is concluded here. We consider the CMOS inverter delay, rise time estimation and fall time estimation. Then the ratio of rise time to fall time will be equal to beta n by beta p. Or we can say that your tau r will be equal to 2.5 times tau f. Therefore, the rise time is always slower by a factor of 2.5. The rise time is slower by a factor of 2.5. So you have to keep these points in mind. Proportional to 1 by VDD, proportional to CL, and equals to tau r is equal to 2.5 times tau f.